Hola, estudiantes. Soy señorita Schaefer y hoy vamos a estudiar la gramática de capítulo 4b y vamos a hablar del verbo jugar. La información en este video está en página 208 si quieres ir allá para verla. La pregunta que vamos a estudiar hoy es How do we conjugate the verb jugar? Entonces, por favor, escriban esta pregunta en sus papeles. Go ahead and write this question on your papers, porfa. And you're going to leave room right underneath it so that you can answer it after this lesson. The verb jugar means to play, but we specifically use this to play a sport or a game. If we're talking about an instrument, then we use the verb tocar. So jugar is a sport or a game. And this is a stem-changing verb. This is the first stem-changing verb that you guys are going to learn, but it's a really important one because it's going to set the basis, the foundation for you to learn other stem-changing verbs as well. So a stem-changing verb is kind of just what it sounds like. It's a verb with a stem that changes when conjugated. And remember, the stem of the verb is the part of the verb that's left after you take away the AR. So for jugar, the stem of the verb is going to be jug. But what we're left with here, this G, the U is actually going to change to UE. Now, this only happens inside the boot shape. And you will hear so much about the boot shape as you go through Spanish 1 and 2 and beyond. But this is where we're going to stem change. So, while you would regularly or usually have J-U-G, what we're going to do is we're going to erase this U, and then we're going to change our stem to have that UE instead. But remember, we're only going to do this in the boot shape. So I'm going to go ahead and write in my stem change here. And then where the stem isn't changing, it's going to remain the normal stem with just the U. So after I fill in these black letters here, it's going to look a little bit more normal. So what you can see here is that I've written the stem. We still need to put our endings on. But inside the boot, you can see that the stem has changed. It's a stem changing verb. Whereas outside the boot, it remains that same J-U-G that we originally saw in the verb. Now we're going to add our AR endings just like we normally would, same endings. So we have o, as, a, amos, ais, and an. So this is our verb jugar. Juego, yo juego, I play. Tú juegas, you play. Él, ella, or usted juega, he, she, or you play. Nosotros jugamos, we play. And remember, that's not changed outside of this boot shape. So nosotros jugamos. Vosotros, same thing, not inside the boot. Jugáis. It's going to stay the original stem. And then this last one, ellos, ellas, or ustedes juegan. We're going to go back to our stem change there inside this boot shape. This is the pattern that every stem changing verb will stem change in. It will always be in the yo, tú, él, and ellos forms, and never the nosotros or vosotros. So please go ahead and make sure you have this copied down. However it best makes sense to you in your notes, so that you can go back and rely on this when we learn more stem changing verbs. So let's go back to our question of the day. How do we conjugate the verb jugar? And what I want you to write down is it's a stem changer. So first of all, we find the stem. which is hug. And then, remember we do that by cutting off the AR. And then what I want you to do is we're just going to put one extra little step in here where we find the stem change as well. Would be jueg. Okay? And then we add the appropriate endings, just like we normally would. But as you add those endings, you're going to need to remember that inside the boot shape, or turn around Florida if you want to see it that way, inside the boot shape you're going to change that stem to UE. And outside you're not going to. As always, if you have any questions, please go ahead and write them down now so that you can remember to ask me when you see me. I definitely want you guys to feel comfortable with this as we move into more stem changing verbs throughout the rest of this year and then next year. There are also a couple other videos on Moodle if you want to look there just to hear somebody else explain it or to see some more examples. That's always a good idea. Gracias y adiós.